dealing with a stiff neck is more common than you think of all age ranges. I don't care how old you are, maybe except for if you're 5 years old, but so many people are suffering or dealing with stiff neck types of issues. And I'm going to share with you some of the reasons why I think that this is happening so much more and some tips on what you can do about it. So if you think about the way that we're using our necks, our neck holds one of the heaviest bones of our body. It's our brain and it's our head. And if you take a look at, let me turn this way because my mic's over here. One of the most common reasons why people have such a stiff neck is because we're on our phones all day. We're literally bent forward on our phones. If we're not on our phones, if you're teenagers in your 20s, if you're studying a lot, if you're an adult and you're working, like I'm on the computer, you're on the computer, what happens is we sit all day and we are in what's called a flex position. So everything is very forward, right? Your hips are very forward, your shoulders are very forward, so then your neck starts coming forward. And that's one of the reasons why people are getting more and more stiffness at the neck. So that's one reason. It's our positioning, our posturing. Number two actually has to do with a certain amount of weakness. If you feel like you're constantly having to stretch your neck like all the time and you feel it's so tight, I always say that there's a certain type of tightness that isn't because you're tight. You are feeling tight because you have certain muscles that are really weak. So in the hand, normally, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist, and I have been working with people with spine issues because so many spine issues kind of relate back to hand and shoulders. So one of the things that I most commonly describe when I'm working with people with spine issues, like neck issues and things like that, is if you take a look at the hand, your big knuckle, your middle knuckle, and your little knuckle. This is how I like to describe it. In order to make a full fist, you have to be able to bend all three knuckles, and then you have to be able to extend, open all three knuckles, right? And what happens is our spine is very similar. Our spine, you have your lumbar spine, which is down here, and then your thoracic spine, which is all of this, it's like 12 of them, right? So you have your thoracic spine, and then you have your cervical spine. So if you think about your spine, your big knuckle is kind of like your lumbar spine. Your middle knuckle is kind of like your thoracic spine. And then your neck bones, right, your cervical spine is like your little knuckle. So if you think about when we have to move the hand and we have to use it, you have to be able to open and you have to be able to close. And so the same is for your spine. You have to be able to bend it forward and then you have to be able to open. And you want to be able to move all three, right? So the spine, you have to move all three. So what happens is if any one part of your spine stops moving really well, guess what? Your neck, right? It gets stuck. So think about your hand. Like if I'm working with your hand and you're coming in with one knuckle or another knuckle, I'm going to work with the whole thing so that you can move better and everything can move without pain. That's not that different from the spine. So people are getting really stiff here. One, our posturing and position, right? Two, there's a certain amount of weakness that you might have. You might have some stiffness, but you might be losing some motion all along somewhere along your spine, and that's why you're starting to feel it here in your neck. But like I said, for your spine to work very well, all three parts have to really move well. So if you think about like, I've really like a lot of neck stiffness, and then I go and I get a massage, how come it's not better? Well, a massage usually is very passive in nature. You get to lay there, someone rubs on you, moves some tissue around, sometimes they stretch your joints, and they're supposed to feel really good. I have absolutely nothing against massages. I think they're great. I just think that they're there for you to enjoy versus to be able to fix a particular problem, especially if you are someone who's dealing with like really stiff necks, right? Like if you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I can't move my neck. You know, it has to do a little bit more with just working here. So if you've been suffering for a while and you've gone to therapy, you've gone to massage, you've gone to chiro, sometimes certain places work in like very limited, I want to say like very limited thinking, but I don't want to, that's not thinking. How do I describe that? So if you've been going somewhere, let's say you've been going to a general therapy clinic or chiropractor or massage, they might be only working in one area versus taking all the areas that I've just mentioned of why your neck might be really stiff. Instead of taking all of it and putting it into a program for you, they're probably just treating one symptom. So I want to share with you a few things that to consider if you're someone who is suffering from a stiff neck type of issue. So I'm going to share with you 3 things that I love to do for a stiff neck. That actually doesn't, you don't have to even move your neck, but it will help your neck. So if like I just described, if your neck, right, your little knuckle here, if it sits on top of the middle knuckle and sits on top of the big knuckle, and you came to me and you're like, Huang, my hand hurts and I'm only rubbing on right here, it might not help you with everything. So I want to move everything in order to help you move your neck. So one of the key things that I like to do is I like to focus on the lumbar spine and I like to focus on the thoracic spine. So I'm going to share with you one lumbar spine exercise or corrective movement, whatever you want to call it, and then I'll share with you 2 that have to do with your thoracic that can be really helpful, right? So one of my favorite things that I like to show people is called standing extension. Let me see if I can move myself. So this is really good if you are someone who sits a lot, right? If you sit a lot, normally you see that desk right there. That's where I sit and I do a lot of my writing. I do a lot of my teaching for other therapists. So I spend a lot of time sitting now more than I ever did before. So one of the things that I love to do, and I teach this to so many different people, my students, my patients, I do what's called standing extensions. Probably not the best shirt because everything is black, but if you stand up and basically you're just standing up with your feet regular, right? Toes pointed forward, shoulder width apart, right? And then you put your hands on your hip. Put your hands on your hip. Well, this is your waist. Your hip is actually down here where your butt is. Let me lower that a little bit, right? Here's your hip down here. You can put your hands on your waist at first, or if you want, you can put your hands a little bit lower. And think about driving your hips forward. Driving your hips forward. Since we're sitting all day, we're sitting like this. Remember, your fingers all bent, curled, and so we have to stretch them open. So think about it like that. You're stretching this open. And when you go back, you're gonna make all of this long and all of this short. And then when you pull yourself, you have to use your muscles right here. So it's a little bit better than just a passive stretch because it's stretching, but also an exercise because you're using muscle. So it's one of my favorite things I like to do, standing extension. And it's easy to say and I can show you, but sometimes people need, when they come into my clinic, they need a little bit of help with that. So if it hurts you, obviously this is an educational video. You do what you need to do, but if it hurts you, stop and refer back to your therapist or doctor, right? But you don't want to do anything that hurts you. So again, take it in stride, right? So standing extension. And the other 2 things I like to work with to help a stiff neck is actually your thoracic spine. So one of my favorite things to do is hands on your chest, just relax your arms. Some people, they're going to show you like, oh, keep your arms up. I don't care to do that. And one of the reasons why is there's a lot of neck shoulder issues, and I don't want you to strain your shoulders holding it up. So hands on your chest and just relax. It's not that serious. If you cannot put your hands here, then put your hands here on your belly, right? So I do this quite a bit with my father-in-law. He had a stroke last year, and he can't put his hands here very well, so you just put it right here, and it's the same thing. You just kind of keep it pressed, right? Press it in there, and then what you want to do is you want to twist, right? So you can twist to the right all the way as far as you can. Look like you're looking for someone behind you, all the way back there. Come back to the front, twist all the way to the other side, come back to the front, and you're going to go to the side that feels really good. You have a yummy side and a yucky side. You have a side that you move into that's easier versus the side that hurts or doesn't feel as good. And one of the reasons why I work that way is because you're still moving all of the muscles. Look at your muscles, feel your muscles. When you go this way, you're going to shorten some muscles, but then back here, you're going to make some long, right? Either way, they're all moving. And what you're helping move is your thoracic spine, and you're moving all the muscles with it. So pick a yummy side, go into that side, and then you can come back and you can check and say, hey, is my neck feeling better, right? Now, just because you don't feel it in the first 10 reps doesn't mean you have to stop, right? If it hurts, stop, obviously, right? But usually my magic is 2 sets of 10. You have to try things out in order to find out if it works or not. And this is, again, like I said, an educational video, so I don't know what's going on with you particularly, but it's a really great one that I use, and it helps so many of my patients. But it helps my patients because I get to the root cause by doing a full comprehensive evaluation before issuing out a prescription of like what movements and exercises to do. But like 90% of the people find this very helpful. So you discover that for yourself. The second thoracic exercise that I like to show is the one that goes into extension, right? So again, we sit like this all day, and so we want to be able to go into the opposite direction. So clasp your hands together, put it behind your neck, not your head, not up here. So if you're putting it back here, you might not be ready for this move because I don't want it to hurt your shoulder, right? So clasp hands behind your neck, and I always tell my patients, let your elbows drop forward, right? If your elbows are out here, you're gonna do more for your shoulder than for your thoracic spine. Elbows forward, and then think about driving your elbows up to the ceiling. So you see, the reason why it's behind your neck is because I don't need your neck to go into this position that it might not be ready for. So when you clasp your hands behind your neck, you're also going to focus on your thoracic spine instead of your cervical spine, instead of your neck. And believe you me, there's 3 things that can start to help your neck feel some relief, because your neck isn't always a neck problem. You're just feeling it there. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? So try those things out, but understand that a stiff neck isn't always at just the neck level. Necks get stiff because other things are not moving, and they're not moving well. Try those things out. If you're still stiff, right, then get some professional help. And if you're in Miami, I'm here at Hands-On Therapy Services. You can call my team, get you set up, get a comprehensive evaluation to get to the root cause of why your neck is so stiff, right? And figure out, what can I do about it so that I can sleep better, I can drive safely, right? You need to turn your head. But sleeping is one of the biggest common complaints that I get when people are like finally coming into therapy. It's 1, because they can't sleep, or 2, they've messed up their arms, right? What can I tell you? So don't wait. Let's work together. If this video has been helpful for you at all, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend, because they might need this too. All right, thanks again.